Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. So today's coffee chat is extra special. I have a guest with me. Carmen has been a part of my Hair Color Secrets Insider group of passionate hairstylists that want to up their game in hair color and eventually specialize in color, get known for color, be able to handle any color situation behind the chair. And if you followed my coffee chat for any amount of time, you've probably heard me talk about or talk to Carmen on the coffee chats. I'm so proud of her and her full transformation since entering into the group. She went from being in a big salon, being a busy assistant, helping everybody else, to now being a solopreneur, being in her own space and having full confidence of hair color. So most people that join my Hair Color Secrets Insider, we just had a big group join. I'm so grateful for every single one of them. We just finished a great launch and we have a lot of new members coming in. And most people join for hair color education, right? It's simple. It's called the Hair Color Secrets Insider. So they come in, they learn how to use color differently, how to formulate differently, how to tackle corrective situations with ease and confidence. But they stay for the community that we have with fellow members and for the life coaching that I kind of sneak in there. I never really talk about it when I am in launch mode and I'm talking about people joining the program. I don't say I'm a life coach. I don't say I'm going to talk about boundaries and taking care of yourself and filling your own oxygen first before you take care of others and all of the things that you end up getting when you do the coaching in the inner circle that end up being even more of a bigger value than the hair color information. And I'm having a proud mentor moment and wanted to bring Carmen on here live because she reached out to me yesterday and was very upset with herself. And I'm accenting the word herself because she just shared with me right before I came on that she didn't feel like a victim in the situation because she learned about that at our in-person retreat. And that made me really happy that she is catching herself and she realizes that she is not the victim here. She only can be the victim if she allows herself to be the victim, that she fully owns what happened and that it started with her saying yes to something that should have been a no. She knew in her gut to say no. We're talking about, in case you're just joining and I'm in the middle of my rant, we're talking about boundaries and serving your clients with heart and caring about your clients, but not to the point where you feel taken for granted and taken advantage of. And this time of year is the perfect time to talk about this because we are all guilty of that last minute client getting squeezed in, and squeezing in means no lunch for us, no bathroom break for us, no sitting all day for us, no being with our families on time for dinner or after school activities or whatever it is you were supposed to get home for. So that happens a lot at holiday season. The last quarter of the year is the busiest quarter of the year in most salons and where we make the most of our money. And we kind of have that sense of panic of, oh my gosh, it's already the end of November. I only have one more month to finish this year out great. I'm going to go extra. I'm going to do extra days, do extra hours, do extra things. So I'm going to bring Carmen on. She is going to share with you what happened, and we're going to talk it through and talk about what could she have done differently? What could you do differently when you're faced with this type of situation? So I'm going to bring Carmen on now. Hello, my beautiful friend. How are you?
Hi, good. And you?
I love that your tree is up. You're making me feel really behind, but that's okay. I haven't even thought about it yet, and I'm traveling tomorrow.
Oh, makes sense.
So do you happen to have your posts where you can just read what you sent to me just to kind of kick off what we're talking about from your client? If not, I can I can grab it on my phone if it's
No,
on the device you're talking to me in. Okay, I can do
yeah.
that. Because I think it's important, right now Carmen is in the healing stage. She's not hijacked like she was yesterday. So there's all those stages of grief, right? Something first happens and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And you're angry. So she was she started in the angry. The angry led her to reach out and share it with me because then she was in hurt mode. So it was settling in and she had her feelings hurt. She wasn't mad anymore. She was hurt. Let me see. I
And
should have
thank you
this
so
ready.
much for replying to me right away. That meant a
Oh,
lot
of
to me
course.
because I know you understand better than anybody else.
Well, Carmen started her note with, hold on, it's just loading. She started with, "Good morning, Elaine." It was 5 of 10 my time yesterday. "Good morning, Elaine. I would like to share something I just experienced with a client. OMG, I hate it when you're so right." So, most of you are moms. I know Carmen's a mom. And as a mom, no matter how many times you try to tell your kids something's a really bad idea, they have to do it anyway and then realize it was a really bad idea. So I love that she pointed out, like, "Oh, I thought of you right away because I hear you saying you shouldn't have said yes." So I said, "Oh no, what happened?" And she did a screenshot of a message from her client. She said, "Good morning, Carmen. I'm having issues with my bridesmaids and their families I've been dealing with since Sunday. It's something personal. I'm very disappointed, pissed, and sad. For those reasons, I need to cancel our contract, keyword contract. There's a family stylist from Miami that's coming to the wedding, and she'll be doing their hair and myself. I don't want to ruin our relationship that we have as stylist to a client. Myself, I have a lot of respect, kind, and trust for you. The money I gave you, keep it for you and the other stylist. If you want to give me a 50% back, I prefer for you to give me a credit for the times I get my hair color done. I can use that credit. It is nothing that you did wrong. It's nothing about your work either. I love your work that you do on my hair always. I'm very sorry, and I hope you still remain as my stylist on doing my retouches, and I hope the friendship we have doesn't get ruined, and I hope you still come to the wedding." So what I want to point out is she started with saying, "I don't want to ruin our relationship that we have as a stylist to a client." She says that first. Then at the end, she says, "I hope the friendship we have doesn't get ruined, and I hope you still come to the wedding." So that's where I want to preface before I even let Carmen talk about her side of how she feels is that's mixed messages, right? So the client's even confusing saying, "We have this great client stylist relationship I don't want to ruin." And then at the end, she says, "Oh, and I hope we're still friends and you're still coming to my wedding." That's confusing. So I can see how Carmen really thought this girl, woman, I don't know how old she is, was her friend outside of the salon. And that's what happens. We start to get friendly with a guest who's been coming to us. Carmen's been doing her since she started doing hair. That's a long relationship and a really beautiful relationship. But where does the line get crossed and where do we stop people from crossing our lines? So I'm going to let Carmen tell you why the whole thing from the beginning was a bad idea and why she didn't trust her gut, which we were all blessed with from a higher power that we were born with, that feeling in your stomach when you know you should not be doing something and you do it anyway. So I'm going to shut up, Carmen, and let you talk.
Thank you. Well, since I found you, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was at this salon where I was doing a little bit of everything. I wasn't really specializing on anything. When I found you, I knew I wanted to have that same passion for color, and I want to specialize in. And from there, I started specializing on blondes. I hated to do pedicures, updos. So once I actually got busy just doing blondes, I no longer needed to do any of those services. And my boss at that time, he was okay with that because I was staying busy doing what I like to do. So then it's been 2 years since I moved into my own place. I have my own suite. And thank you, Elaine, because I don't think I would have done this without you. When I first started at this salon, I told my husband, I think it might take me about 5 years maybe until I get my own place. It actually took me, I want to say 2 years.
That's
And
awesome.
I stay busy, which is really good. And all I really do is mostly blondes. I'll do some colors here and there, cover some grays, but mainly it's blonde. And this client had been my client for almost 5 years now since I started at that first salon. And she was aware that I didn't do any updos. She asked me if I would do them for her and her bridesmaids, and I say yes. When I say yes, because I mean, she sounded so happy. She wanted me to be a part of it. And I also wanted to be part of it too. Since I did feel like we had this kind of relationship, I want to say, yeah, I thought we were friends. um, so I do regret it saying yes to something that I don't do just to please her. I blocked my whole day for her wedding, which is coming up in like 2 weeks. And it made me very upset knowing that she could just replace me like that. And I think that's what it kind of hurt the most, because I actually did go out of my way to do certain things for her. She had changed jobs, or her schedule had changed. I was moving other of my clients to get her into my schedule, or coming in earlier on Saturdays to get her in, and so I could do her retouch. And it was something that I wasn't even really doing anymore. Her color is burgundy. I don't do that as much either. And I think I was very upset about, I was upset with myself for allowing all of this. I should have let her go a long time ago, because I don't really do those colors anymore. I would carry those colors just for her. And yes, yesterday, all I could think was about you, Elaine. All this times you've said to us, like, don't go out of your way. Clients will replace you. And when you told us about your story, when you retire, and how your clients from a long time were easily okay moving on to another stylist after you had retired. So, yeah, that's my story.
Well, what you also shared with me too, which really hurts, is you went and got extensions for her. You were practicing on your doll head for your updos because you're a passionate perfectionist, and you, even though you knew you didn't want to do it and you don't like doing it, you did all of those extra things to make her the most beautiful bride, and all of her bridesmaids that you don't know and have never met. And we talk about in the insiders that, giving into a bride one time sounds like no big deal. But what happens is, when you're a colorist, like to Carmen's point, if she was doing retouches every single 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever her client cycle is, that entire day that's dedicated to that bridal party, there are no retouches happening. So every 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever their rotation is, from that day that you did that bridal party, you have a slow day. So not only does it put her off and off of her game money wise, but it's, down the road, you're like, all of a sudden you have this slow day and you're like, why am I so slow? And, if you're an appointment book person, you flip back a couple weeks, you're like, that was that bridal party, because they take up your whole entire book.
Mhm.
And most bridesmaids you'll never see again. They don't even live in the area that you are. They're the cousin of the bride. They're the girl who they went to college with that lives in another state. And we all know how annoying they can be, because you're not their stylist. You don't know that they hate their hair off their face, or they hate having, little tendrils loose and they're up to tickle their face, or whatever their little thing quirkiness is. They're on their best behavior when they first sit in your chair, because it's awkward and they don't know you. And by the end, they're the bridesmaidzilla, they're, touching it. And I don't like this. And da, da, da. I have so much trauma from updos. I could do a whole entire book or movie about it. So I, at one point, just said, I remember doing this little girl for her prom. And, of course, I'm much older than her. I'm doing the hair that was in when I went to my prom, because that's how little I care about updos. So I'm like doing what I can, and I don't like it. It doesn't look good. I mean, I didn't think she was being a brat, but she made the mistake of saying, do whatever you want, is what she said to me. And I was like, well, that's a really broad thing. Like that could be really, really be bad. She's like, no, really, I don't care. Like, just do whatever you think. She had a ton of hair. And I did it, and she let me spray it to the high heavens with like the stiffest, not going to move in a hurricane hairspray. And she looks in the mirror and she goes, I don't like it. I'm like, what? Like this piece? She goes, no, the whole thing. I don't like it at all. And I was like, so I take it out and I'm brushing through the hair. It was a disaster. And I walked up to the desk, because it was my salon, which is even worse that I let that happen. And I walked up to the front desk and I said, never, ever, ever put an updo in my book ever, ever again. I don't care if it's my mom, my daughter, my sister, the president of the United States. I will never, ever, ever do an updo again as long as I live. And the first person who does it, go right to unemployment. You're fired. And everybody laughed. And I was like, no, I'm serious. Never, ever, ever again. And I never did it again. I broke my code. That was in probably 1990 something. And I did not do it at all until my daughter just got married and she was doing a destination wedding. All of the hairdressers in the town, it's a very small town in Santa Fe. She's like, Mom, everybody is booked. I don't know anybody there. Can you do my hair? I was like, I mean, I'll do it, but it's not going to be, your best look ever. That's not my thing. But she has naturally curly hair and she literally like grabbed parts and said, pin this, like she pretty much did it herself. She wanted it to be very her and not be very, formal. But it's anytime you give into something that in your soul and your heart and your gut is just not a good fit for you, it never goes well, and I answered you, my answer to Carmen when she sent me that message. Let me see if I can bring it back up without taking too long.
And I did spend a lot of money on tools. I forgot to mention that.
Exactly. Yeah. You bought extra tools. You were practicing on doll heads. You got extensions.
Yeah. I didn't have the right tools, the right products for texturizing, the stiff hold for that updo. I don't carry any of that.
So my answer was, this is good news. Spend that time doing color services that are going to pay more and not be as annoying. Keep her deposit money. Do not return it. You had a contract. That's the hardest part. Carmen feels like this person's her friend. So she's like, oh, I feel bad keeping the money. But no, she spent that time on the doll heads. She went and got extensions. She bought extra product. She blocked her entire day and moved the paying clients that were happy to be there getting her usual service that she's passionate about doing. So as much as you feel like, oh, that's not right, I didn't do the hair, I'm keeping the money. No, keep the money, because she is bailing on you and doing this to you 2 weeks before. And I'm extra proud that she said, I know we have a contract, because that's something that Carmen, I'm sure, would not have done in the past without being, coached and mentored, saying like, hey, you have to protect yourself. I'm having a battle right now with a videographer that did this latest retreat in April. She completely lost the most important footage of the event. It's just gone. She never sent it to me. And she said, oh, I ended up doing another thing and it filmed over it or whatever. And she was just like, oh, sorry. And I was like, sorry, like, are you kidding me? Is that all you're going to do? And she's like, well, I said, I'm sorry. I feel sick to my stomach. I'm like, okay, but I don't have my footage. It's the whole reason that I paid you to be there, is to have that, to be able to put it into the membership to share with other people. And she's like, well, I said, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. And I was like, well, I paid you the full amount of the contract. She keeps trying to turn it where I'm the bad guy. Like, she's in victim mode. And I love that you pointed that out, that you were like, I'm not being a victim, because I know that I said yes to something I should have said no to. So how, moving forward, is this going to change what you do in all things that happen like this? Like, do you feel more empowered to be able to say, hey, I love our friendship. I love you. I can't wait to go to your wedding. And, in the middle of the wedding, if you need a little touch up and a pin rearranged, I'm happy to do it. But, so-and-so down the street is great at updos. Here's their number. How are you going to handle that?
I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that, but I think it's a good time for me to let her go too, because I don't do those colors. I think she's normally on my schedule for about 2 hours every 4 to 5 weeks. But I get those gaps in between my schedule because my blonding services can take up to 4 hours. So I think I'd rather do that. And I'm happy this happened. And I think it's time for me to just let her go.
I love that, because sometimes the universe steps in and does something for us when we're not doing it for ourselves. I'm doing this whole program right now. That's awesome. It's every Tuesday and it's called Positive Intelligence. And it's stopping yourself when you're in the room. Oh, trust me, I was doing every exercise in the course with this videographer. I was like fired up last night. My husband's like, oh boy, he just kept leaving the room because I'm just like, I can't believe she is turning this around on me. And it has you realize that most things that happen where we think it's happening to us and it's a horrible thing are actually happening for us and are going to lead to better things. I share often on this coffee chat about opportunities that I did not get in my career as an educator that I was so crushed by. It crushed my confidence. It crushed my dream of doing what I do now. I almost gave up because of it. I was like, well, I must not be good enough if I'm not getting these positions that I'm going for. This is like 10 years ago. And I look back and I'm like, thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, every powerful energy on the planet that they said no, because I would still be there schlepping around the swatch chart and going into salons and carrying samples and riding around thousands of miles in my car, getting paid $50 a day doing, manufacturer, product knowledge classes, schlepping around gel and hairspray. To your point, I don't do gel and hairspray. I don't do styling. I don't want to teach that. But I didn't know how to do what I'm doing now back then without being under a manufacturer's, tutelage and having them pave the way for me, where I'm just like, those were gifts. So I love that you realize the gift in that she was being your bridal party, even without being your bridal party, by being your 2-hour service in the middle of your day, where she was preventing you from doing your thing with your 4-hour blocks. So that's such a beautiful thing when you can really look at your schedule and understand. I just can't even tell you how proud I am of you. Like, because I tell the same thing I said to you, I've said to probably 500 people that have come through this program, and maybe 50 have done the work and actually listened and trust it. And you're one of them. So I just love that you're willing to come on here and share your story, because right now, from Thanksgiving to New Year is like the boundary breaking season. It's like, oh, come on, you're not that booked. I'll bring you food. How many times have you had a client say, I'll bring you food, I'll bring you your favorite coffee, and then they come barreling in with your coffee, but they're 20 minutes late. And you're like, okay, I could have lived without the coffee. You just backed up the whole rest of my day. Like, no, thank you for the coffee.
Yes.
So yeah, just your muscle, your no muscle is getting worked out. You're getting to the point where you're going to be like, no, I know what's coming. I know this is going to affect XYZ, and it's just not worth it. And being able to say it with a smile and in a kind way is the difference. Not just being like, no, I'm busy. Like, you don't have to be, holier than thou and make them feel bad about it. You just say, I've worked really hard to become a specialist in my craft, and I'm starting to get known for what I do best. And I really love doing that. And as much as I love you, this just isn't part of my brand. And I'm happy to recommend someone. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, right. Yes.
So are you going to go to the wedding?
I don't think so.
Now, did you RSVP to the wedding? Is it like a formal, she has your name on the thing and everything?
Yes. Yeah, I even had a babysitter because I have my 6-year-old son. So it was just gonna be me and my husband, like a date night.
And how does that feel? Like, do you feel like you're keeping it going and the friction going by not going? Or do you just, you're at the point where you don't want her in your life, period, because having her as a friend means having her as her burgundy touch up?
In a way, I feel like a little betrayed because she wasn't honest. Um, if this family member is doing the updo, um, I don't think it was a last minute thing. She probably already had it planned, and I
Mm,
me ahead of time, not wait, because she knew I was gonna be practicing this style on my mannequin, and I was even sending her pictures. I'm like, look, this is how it's turning out. It looks pretty good. I think it's gonna look really good on your hair too. And she also was aware of um, me buying all these tools, everything that I needed for her updo. So I just feel like she took me for granted.
And how will you handle the wedding thing with not going? Are you going to tell her ahead of time?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna message her today and just tell her I won't be going to the wedding.
Yeah, I would definitely let her know and not just not show up because then that just, it's like two wrongs don't make a right kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna, yeah, be honest with her and just tell her I don't feel comfortable going to the wedding and I just wish her the best.
And you could do a fun date night and be above it and go anyway and have a good dinner and dance and have fun and just be like,
Yeah.
it was a night out. So either way, whatever you decide is
Yes.
up to you.
I feel a lot better because today, yesterday I was in a way feeling like, oh, how could she do this to me? And it's like, no, I did this to myself because I should have said no from the beginning. And I
I
did
love that.
retreat that I went to 2 years ago, I think, or 3 years ago.
At the retreat. Yeah, we talked about Alejandra is the coach that taught me life coaching. She certified me. And you're never going to not react when something like that happens. It's not possible to be like, oh yay, she canceled. Like nobody that's not fully medicated is going to have that kind of reaction. So
Yeah,
it's not that. It's just seeing it. Okay. Oh, I see you. Anger, hurt, disappointment. I see all those emotions. And okay, I get that this is normal. Let me have a little tantrum for a couple minutes. And then let me take a deep breath and say, oh my gosh, I don't have to do this wedding. No more stress. No more practicing on the doll head. Return the extensions. I have my night to myself the night of the wedding that I probably didn't really want to go to. I'm not going to have her on my book every 4 weeks, driving me crazy with her burgundy hair and messing up my book. And all is really good. This was really a gift. And you flip it to
I
instead
did.
of being the victim, you're receiving a gift and all is good. And you can find a gift in everything. Um, we had a horrible experience. My son was misdiagnosed with lymphoma when he was 19, and my world just completely stopped. Like I couldn't even breathe. I was so upset. And I thought it was the worst thing that could ever possibly happen to me, a parent, to anyone. And in retrospect, I walked away from behind the chair. I moved to Florida. I always wanted to live at the beach. I never would have done that. I had the courage to do it because I was like, wow, life can change in a minute. And I'm sitting here bitching about the snow, the cold, the rain, all the things, the salon driving me crazy. And I'm just sitting in my diaper, just complaining over and over again. And when he had that diagnosis, I said, I'm quitting my job and we're going on the most amazing bucket list trip of a lifetime. We're just going to travel everywhere he's ever wanted to go and get it all in because I want to spend every minute of that time with him. And then when the doctor said, oh, we actually made a mistake, he's totally healthy, thank God. I said to my husband, I was willing to do all of those things and make those drastic changes because my son, I thought, was sick. Why am I not doing it for me? I was 50 years old at the time. I'm like, I'm 50 years old and I'm still living a life I don't want to live because it benefits everybody around me but me. My
Hmm.
clients love me and they're happy. The girls in the salon love the salon and they're happy. My sales reps are happy. Everybody's happy. I'm the only one not happy. So I can't change everything. It's going to ruin everybody else's life. Now I look back, and to your point, when we started this chat, of my clients don't text me, they don't send me a birthday card, they don't call me, they don't ask about me. It's like I died when I left behind the chair. And I was like, wow. I shared it on my TikTok. It's my most viewed. I get no views on TikTok. I think I have like 39,000 views of this post on TikTok where I say, don't get it twisted. You are a service provider that's friendly and your client likes,
Yes.
and they're friendly with you. They think you're okay to spend 2 hours getting your burgundy touch up done. But are they going to, go out of their way if you have to get a surgery and your husband can't drive you to the hospital? Are they going to actually drive you to that? Like, that's what a friend does. So,
Yeah.
like, start to go in your mind when you're going out of your way. Like, would I go out of my way to take this person somewhere that they needed to go? Would I leave my family in a time that they need me to go do something for or with that person? Really, go through those questions in your mind and say, is this a friendly relationship or is this a true friendship? And if it's a true friendship, they should be paying you full price as well. we start to get into that zone of, that friend of yours, like, oh, well, now we're friends and she invited me to her wedding and I have to cut her a break. I can't charge her the full thing because I'm going to her wedding. She's my friend. So we end up hurting ourselves even more. The more friendly, the more lines we cross, the more money we lose in the salon. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, is put the line in the sand and say to family, like, look, I'm not behind the chair anymore. This is a business. I was the highest producer in the salon. When I'm stepping away, the salon has to make it without me here, and your family, and I love you, but like, I'm not doing your hair. So I can't expect one of my staff members to do your hair. You're taking up a spot in their book that a full paying client would be there, and they need to get paid. And this is a business. You have to pay full price. And a lot of family went elsewhere as soon as that happened. And that's okay, because
Yeah.
we weren't getting any income anyway. So that was hard. That was like, literally, I've been in business 36 years. I think it was maybe like 26 years in that we did. So for 26 years, if you add up all the income from every family member that you didn't feel like you had to charge, or friends or whatever. So I just say to my staff, like, I don't expect you to charge your mom. I don't expect you to charge your dad, your immediate family, but you also can't put them in your paid column. It has to be come in early, stay late, do it on a Saturday, but you can't give up, a spot in that column, because people will say, like, oh my gosh, you talk about six figures like it's so easy. I'm like, it really is. It really is.
Uh,
If you have boundaries and you're treating it like a business, it's not that hard. If you get paid for every single service that you do, and you're talking to your client about product and recommending products and doing all the things, it's really not that hard to hit six figures
Oh,
when
it's
you
not.
break it down. We have a thing in the membership. You take, like, for Carmen, she's self-employed, so she could do, like, say 125,000, because her expenses aren't going to be a lot more than that. So 125,000 divided by, I always say divide it by 50 weeks, because I want you to have a vacation. So you divide it by 50, divide that by the amount of days that you work in the week, and then divide that by the amount of hours, and you come up with an hourly rate that you have to charge. And it's usually $100 or less an hour. And it's really not that much money for all the education and all the effort that you put into your career. And oh my gosh, I have a model coming in today, and I don't do hair every day. So when I do a model, I have to go get the color. I've gone to the beauty supply twice already. You never get out of there for less than $100, even if you go for one tube of color. So my first visit was 120. I went again yesterday. It was 110, and I still forgot to get something. And I'm like, this is one person who is going deeper. She's gray coverage and she's going deeper. But for me, that means I want to do a cream demi on like 75% of her hair where she doesn't have a lot of gray. I want to do a melt between, she has old highlights. So I need a color from the zone 2, from like here to here. I have to do one shade of Shade ZQ liquid. Then I need another shade from here to the ends. And I need yet another color for this front part, because she has a lot of gray. So I'm going to use Walla Color Touch in one area, Redken Shade ZQ in 2 areas, Redken 10-minute color in her gray area. So all of that for one person.
Yeah.
And you could say, like, that's ridiculous. You don't have to do that. But that's why my salon is known for hair color. That's why our clients come to us for 25 and 30 years, because we're not lazy about it. We don't just dump one color all over the whole head. When she only has gray right here, she's a brunette. If I'm using permanent color on her whole head and her gray is right here, I'm turning all of this, all kinds of red, all kinds of brassy. And then I'm going to keep sending her home with blue shampoo that doesn't do shit to red hair. That's another thing that everyone does. But it's like taking the time to go to 2 different, like I had to go to Salon Centric for the two parts. And now I have to go today on the way to Cosmoprof to get the color touch. So 3 trips to the beauty supply, and clients don't get that, especially when you're in a suite, because that color doesn't just appear. Like I see a lot of Pam's on here, Stacy's on here, Carolyn, all these members are in suites, and the color is not just going to magically appear from the color fairy. And if someone decides to change what they're coming for when it's not what they always have, you have to be prepared. You can't say, oh, we can't do that today because I have to run to the store. No, you have to stock that color, and color costs money. So
Yes.
when you're charging enough, it makes it that much easier. So I'm just so proud of you. And I love that you're willing to come on here. This is early for you. We're not on the same time zone. So Carmen had to get up early for me, and she looks so beautiful. But
Thank you.
I just can't wait to see your total story. Like, I hope I live long enough to see you sharing with other people on a stage with a little Britney Spears mic that you can do it. You can stop doing all the things that you don't want to do. And you work with a lot of Latino women with really dark bases, and you're
Mhm.
specializing in blonde. So you picked the hardest specialty you could pick. And that is amazing. And I'm so proud of you for that, because you could have taken the easy way out and said, nope, I'm not doing any dimensional work. It's too hard. It's 4 hours. I'm exhausted. No, you were like, this is cool. I like doing this and creating these looks where they're not getting the yucky warmth, because I know better and I do better and I'm awesome. So you are awesome.
Yes. And I do love my income too. I can't lie about it.
Absolutely. And you could have stayed safe. You could have stayed protected by your boss. You had a great relationship with your boss. You got your start there. We always have that special place in our heart for whoever takes a chance on us when we're starting out. So, doing something for yourself, I'm sure when you first told him or her that you were leaving, it was like, oh my gosh, I feel so betrayed, all the things, when really it's like, wow, she's flying the nest. The little baby bird can fly by herself. And you have
Yes.
to look at it as a gift.
Yes.
So, any last words for people watching that may not be brave enough to have boundaries and do the things that you're now doing?
I would say listen to Elaine. Do all of her modules on her membership, and don't fall into that pressure of clients asking you to do things that you don't do. It's okay to say no.
No is a full sentence, right? 2 letters. No.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. 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 Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. I don't I don't want to keep you too long. It's been 37 minutes. I promised
Yeah.
you 30. So thank you for doing this, and I will talk to you soon.
Alrighty. Thank you, Lane.
She's so adorable. I love her so much. Her hair grows so fast. Last time I saw her, it was up to her chin, and now it's so beautiful and long. And I'm like, girl, we've been growing it at the same time, and mine's still only here. So I hope that this helps all of you to see that you really are in charge of your success, that it's not the owner of the salon. It's not, you can't make excuses. Oh, my husband, this, my sister, that, my whatever you're using as an excuse, because excuses are your protective layer from you taking a risk. And fear, I want to end with this because I could talk for another hour. Fear will never go away. So feeling afraid is not an indication of I should not do this, try this, do this new opportunity. Fear is there to protect you. And your drunk monkey that shows up on your shoulder and says, I can't do this, it does have a good purpose. It is trying to protect you, but sometimes it's trying to protect you from something that could be the greatest thing that you've ever done. So really, really sit with decisions and decide, like, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? I remember when I went on my own, I was at a busy corporate salon. Clients were fed to me all day long. I was booked solid until I went to have my taxes done. And I go in with my papers to like H&R Block or one of those mall ones because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was in my 20s. And I said, the salon charges this and this and this. And I hear I can do write-offs. And they were like, well, not really, because the salon is taking the write-off before they pay you. So no, you can't write those things off. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem fair. I brought in this much and I only took this much home. And they were like, I said, what can I do? And they were like, I don't know, go on your own, start a business. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start a business. And I did. I went on my own and I was by myself. I was 22 years old. And it was great. And I remember sitting with my husband. I was like, I'm afraid. What if I'm not busy? What if my clients don't follow me? What if I have to start all over again? He's like, we were dating at the time. He's like, Elaine, you don't get paid when you're not busy at the salon. They don't pay you a salary. You don't get benefits. You don't get paid time off. You don't get health benefits. He's like, what's the worst that can happen is you're not going to get paid when you're not busy. You don't get paid now. So yeah, you pay a little bit of rent, but like when things are good, it's going to balance all that out. Go for it. And I was like, my God, you're right. I don't get paid when I'm not busy anyway. And I remember thinking I was going to I was a sun goddess back then. I'm paying for it now with my wrinkly chest. But I remember saying like, oh, I'm just going to put a chair out in the yard and I'm going to wear my bathing suit under my clothes. And if I don't have a client, I'm going to go lay out in the summer. Great idea. I'll have a cordless phone. Back then, it was like the giant cordless phone with the big antenna. And I said, I'm gonna just do that and I'll have a nice day in the yard and I'll just have a day off when I'm not busy. And I never had a day. I never sat in that yard. I never had a day without clients. People referred me like crazy because I was good at what I did and I kept it simple. It was a small space. The overhead was low and I succeeded in spite of not knowing what the hell I was doing. I always say I learned from the school of hard knocks. And it worked for me. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have a business loan. I bartended for a year and saved all my tips and paid for my furniture in cash. It was a different time back then. They didn't have salon suites. I had to go and get zoning for the building and, do all the build out myself and hire a carpenter. Oh, it was a nightmare, but I did it and I'm proud of it. And now I'm here to coach and mentor you to get you out of your dirty diaper and into a better life. So if you're not already a Hair Color Secrets Insider, why aren't you? You can still join. So join us, be in this amazing community. There's probably 80% of the people on this talk right now are already members or have just joined. Dawn just joined. Ida just joined. Beth just joined. Mary already is a member. Tracy joined. Karen, Stacy, other Stacy, Doris. There's a ton of you on here. And the reason you're still in my community is because you're taking the advice that I'm sharing with you and you're actually doing the work and taking the risks and doing things differently. Because if someone just posted today in the group, client has, level 2 hair. I had been doing baby lights on her and her color was nice and blonde and not brassy because it was level 2 colored hair. Because now her regrowth was a lot of virgin hair, I thought I could get her there using color, even though Elaine said I couldn't. And here's the result, exactly like Elaine said it would be. And it was like bright orange. And I'm like, you're actually tattling on yourself, saying like, Elaine told me not to. I did it anyway. Now what do I do? So don't do the now what I do the thing in the first place, because I don't share with people to trick them into doing something that really isn't going to work. I share it because I did it. I made all the mistakes. I got all the scrapes and bruises. I have the scars to prove it. And I don't want you to have to make those mistakes. I want you to be able to make a very small investment in your future and change things forever. So that's what it's all about. So thank you to Carmen for coming on live. She's very shy. So that was like a big ask for her to do this live. But I wanted her to share that not only did she take charge of the situation, recognize her victim. She told her victim, oh, hell no, you're not coming out today. You are not a victim. You chose this. And she chose to move forward and make it right to make an even better future. So for that, I am so proud and so privileged and grateful to have been able to be a coach and mentor to her and to see her transform before my eyes. It's the greatest gift ever. So thanks for watching. Have a great week, a great weekend. I will be traveling. I may or may not go live next Wednesday because I'm going to be at an event. So I will probably pre-record next week's coffee chat. So if you're commenting and you're like, why is she not answering me? It's because it's probably pre-recorded because I'm going to be in a different time zone and I'm going to be in a class. So if there's any topics that you would like to see next week, feel free to comment them here and I can look and I can make the topic about what you are thinking you would like to see. So let me know and have a great week.